On April 13, 1612, one of the greatest duels in Japanese history took place on Funajima Island, later known as Ganryujima Island. Named after Sasaki Kojiro, the greatest swordsman of his generation, wielder of a blade so long and swift they called it the drying pole, and Miyamoto Musashi, undefeated in over 60 duels, with only a wooden sword. This was the duel all of Japan had been waiting for, but it didn't go the way anyone expected. In a single, perfectly timed strike, Musashi ended the duel almost before it began. No prolonged battle, no drawn-out clash of legendary blades, just one devastating cut, and silence. And then something unexpected happened. He walked away. Not to the next duel, not to claim power or position, not to test himself against another challenger. He simply walked away. Why would a man who had just reached the absolute peak of his art, who had trained his entire life for moments like this, turn his back on everything he'd built? What could possibly be more important than victory itself? And what he discovered would become a philosophy that transcended the sword, guiding warriors in battle, leaders in strategy, artists in their craft, and anyone willing to face the true enemy and win the war within themselves. After Ganryujima, people imagined Musashi returned home proud, victorious, ready to claim his place in history. But the truth is that something broke inside him that day. Kojiro had been his greatest rival, a man whose entire life, reputation, and legacy had led to that exact moment. And Musashi ended it in seconds. No glorious exchange, no legendary test of skill, just one perfect strike, and now Kojiro was gone forever. A master swordsman, years of training, discipline, devotion, gone in an instant. For what? So Musashi could prove he was better? So he could claim a title? So Japan could have a greatest swordsman? The more Musashi thought about it, the more senseless it seemed. A man's entire life, reduced to a single moment of violence. And for what purpose? In the days that followed, as word of his victory spread across Japan, Musashi discovered something unexpected. Winning hadn't fixed anything. People celebrated him. Swordsmen spoke his name with reverence. Daimyos offered him positions of honor. But inside, he felt hollow. The emptiness he'd been running from his entire life, still there. The restlessness, still gnawing at him. The hunger for the next challenge, gone. Replaced by a question that terrified him more than any opponent ever had. Here's what no one tells you about reaching the summit. Sometimes when you get to the top of the mountain, you find nothing there. No answer, no fulfillment. Just the cold realization that the thing you'd been chasing your entire life wasn't the thing you actually needed. How many of us do the same thing? We chase the promotion, thinking it'll finally make us feel accomplished. We chase the relationship, thinking it'll finally make us feel complete. We chase the achievement, the recognition, the validation, thinking that once we get there, everything will make sense. And then we get there, and we're still us. Still carrying the same doubts, the same fears, the same emptiness. Musashi had spent nearly 15 years, from age 13 to 28, fighting duel after duel. 60 times he'd put his life on the line. 60 times he'd walked away the victor. But now, at the peak of his skill, with no one left to challenge him, the question became inescapable. What now? What do you do when you've dedicated everything, your youth, your body, your very life, to becoming the best, and it doesn't mean what you thought it would? What's left when the battle is over and you realize the enemy you really needed to face was never external at all? That question became the shadow he would carry for the rest of his life. He didn't return to the dueling world. He didn't challenge the next famous swordsman. He didn't cash in his fame or leverage his name into power or position. Into the back roads of Japan he went, into forests and forgotten shrines. Some nights sleeping under pine trees, other nights in abandoned temples. Always moving, always alone, always thinking. No destination, no plan, just movement. As if he could walk far enough to outrun the question haunting him. But you can't outrun yourself. He was 28 years old. Most swordsmen at that age were just entering their prime, hungry to build their reputation. But Musashi, he was already leaving his behind. Because he realized something that would take him decades to fully understand. The sword was never the answer. It was just the tool that forced him to ask the right questions. For the first time in his life, Musashi wasn't practicing to defeat someone. He was practicing to understand himself. And that shift, from external conquest to internal exploration, would become the foundation of everything that followed. Thanks for watching.